Okay, now we are live. Welcome everybody. Good morning. I hope everyone had their weekend's nice hot coffee and ready to dive into the pro bono session delivered by Ellen and hosted by Team COE. So in this session, we'll be covering up the Excel topics, how to Excel your Excel dashboards delivered by Ellen. And we have witnessed many sessions from Ellen regarding the topics Excel, Power BI, VBA, and automation as well. And he has covered a versatile topics and also domains for the data analysis and also the financial analysis and automation as well. So we encourage everyone from the COE or whoever is new to COE. So welcome to our pro bono sessions, and we'd request the audience to be engaging and interactive in the sessions, so that would give some boost to the host and as well as the speaker as well. And this would help engage the session more interactively. And Ellen has shared a file, Excel file, of which he'd be using. And please download the file so that you can practice along with Ellen. So and get the hands-on experience. So yeah, welcome, Ellen. Over to you.
All right, so thank you, Prem Sai, and good day, everybody. So I hope you can see my screen. So if you can see my screen, just type yes. And if you can hear me, please type number 2 in the chat box. So if you can hear me, just type number 1. If you can see the screen, just type number 2. So namaste, everyone. Okay, so of course, the topic for today is Excel dashboard. All right, but before we go to the Excel dashboard, I just want to show you like what is the motive of today's agenda is basically to prepare a portfolio. Okay, now you are looking at a Google Chrome, which shows a company called Bursa Malaysia. Okay, just like how India, you have Bharat Petroleum, you have like Reliance Industry, Tata Company. Same thing in Malaysia, we do have companies, Bursa Malaysia. So this is the organization structure where you have internal audit, you have finance team, you have human resource, and then we have the corporate structure whereby we have all the subsidiaries. So now what we want to do is basically we want to prepare expenses report of this company. So let's get started. So like what I showed to you is we do have that entity name. Like just now I show you like what is the department. Either it's strategic department or subsidiary like Bursa Malaysia Carbon. And then we have the type. It is either a head office. Head of means HQ, headquarters. Subsidiaries means is the subsidiary residing under the head office. And then here we have all the items, all the expenses. Here we have the group. Okay, like what expenses? Is it the computer expenses, staff costs? And then we have like what are the type of the items? And then we also have cost elements. We have the expenses and the revenue from 2017 up to 2024. So just say you are working as an expense analyst. Okay, I'm going to type in the chat box, expense analyst. Okay, that means you need to actually analyze the expenses of the subsidiary and also the subsidiary and also head office. So how we are going to do it? So what we are going to learn is we are going to learn a portfolio of preparing a dashboard. Okay, dashboard in Excel. Okay, so this is our portfolio today. So what we are going to learn? Okay, first thing is we will learn about Power Query, a very simple one whereby we will try to unpivot the column. Okay, and then after that, we will also learn about pivot table because pivot table can use as a tool to prepare dashboard. So we'll prepare two different pivot table to prepare the analysis and also the presentation. And then after that, we will also use if function. Okay, if function, later I'll show you how we will apply if function. And then the main thing is pivot chart and slicer. We will also use camera tool. So in Excel, we have camera. So based on this feature only, we will prepare a dashboard, a interactive report. So let's get started. So my friends, are you with me? If you are with me, just type number 3 in the chat box so that all of us on the same page. All right, so now what we're going to do is we're going to get started based on preparing this data. So what I'm going to do is, first thing is I press Control A. When you press Control A, you are actually highlighting the entire table. If you look here carefully, we have more than 12,000 to 125,000 data. So the problem is instead of you highlighting one by one, you can actually press Control A. Control A will highlight the entire table. Then I go to data. I go from table slash range. This is where it will go to Power Query Editor. Why we go Power Query? Because we want to do some transformation. So my friends, can you see here data from table slash range? If you can see, can you type number 4 in the chat box? So what it will do is it will highlight the data, and when we click from table slash range, you will notice that one small box will appear. Okay, so my dear friends, can you see the small box? If you can see the small box, can you type number 5 in the chat box? So where what happen is you highlight the data, you press from table slash range, a small box will appear. When you press OK, automatically it will go to Power Query Editor. That means when you press this, automatically will go to Power Query Editor. So you may ask me, LNG, why we want to go to Power Query? Basically, I want to transform the data, because if you see here we have 2017, 2018, 2019, 2020 until the end. So I don't want this to be in a separate column. I want all the years in one column and all the expenses in one column. So what I do is I will select all the years. As you can see over here, select all the years. I go to transform and I click unpivot column. So my dear friends, can you see there's a word called here unpivot column? If you can see unpivot column, can you type number 6 in the chat box? Okay, so what unpivot column does is it will try to transform the data. So now when I press unpivot column, you will notice right now it has changed accordingly. That means just now what happened was you have 2017, 2018, 2019, all those years is basically in a separate column. That means 2017, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, all in separate column. But when I go to transform and I click unpivot column, you will notice that all the years it will appear in one column. 2017 to 2020, 2024 in one column, and all the amount in one column. So what I'm going to do is I want to change this to financial year, and I want to change this into INR, okay, or maybe Indian rupees, or maybe you want to put Ringgit Malaysia, it's up to you. Okay, then after that, I go to home and I click close and load to. Okay, you may ask me, what's the difference between close and load and close and load to? When you press close and load, it will load as a table in a new sheet. Again, I repeat, when you press close and load, it will load as a table in a new sheet. But when you press close and load to, so now when I press close and load to, you will notice a box will appear. So meaning to say, if you press close and load, it will automatically load as a table in new worksheet. But when you press close and load to, you have options. Either you want pivot table, pivot chart, only create sheet, or you want to do in existing worksheet as can. What I want to do is, I want to create pivot table and I want to press OK. So once I press OK, so now it will load as a pivot table. And then what I want to do is, like I told you, my job is not to find the revenue. My job is expenses. So what I do is, I will just drag the I type, and then over here, I only want to find the expenses only. So expenses, and then this is the data. Then what I will do is, I will tick the financial year and I will tick the INR. So now we do have this data over here. 2017 up to 2024, this is the expenses. And then what I'll do next is, I want to format these numbers. So right click, number format. If you format cell means it will format the particular cell. Number format means it will format the entire pivot table. So number format, and then what I'll do is I'll choose accounting. I don't want the symbol, and I press OK. So right now you have this data over here. Okay, so now we have this report. And then what I'll do next is I also want to know the entity name, entity type. So I'll put here entity name and entity type. Okay, so this is the data. And then I also will create another pivot table. So this pivot table is to show the performance from 2017 to 2024. Then what I'll do is I'll go to another side. So this side, what I'll do is I'll try to remove the entity name, entity type. Okay, and then I'll put the financial year at the columns. And then after that, what I'll do is I'll put the group at the rows. So now you'll have this information over here. Okay, so later I'll show you what is this data so that you will understand in detail what we are going to do next is. Okay, so now we do have this data. What's next? Next is I want to create a new sheet. So I create a new sheet. So this is the sheet one. I'll create a new sheet over here. So now what we want to do is we want to create a dashboard. So I put my cursor over here. I go to pivot table analyze, pivot chart. Pivot chart, I press OK. So now this is the pivot chart. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove all this. That means the buttons all I don't want. So right click the button and hide all field button. So when you hide all field, you will notice that now we have a bigger space. Okay. And then after that, what I'm going to do next is I want to improvise the chart because the chart is not so beautiful. So I'm going to click the chart element over here. So my dear friends, can you see the chart element? If you can see chart element over here, can you type number 7 in the chat box? Okay, so why I want to do chart element? Because I want to actually improvise the chart. That means I click this. So this one here is called legend. So when I unselect, it will remove the legend. And then I want to unselect the grid line because here all the line, I unselect this and I want to put data label. So I put data label. So now my manager can see the performance. But however, it does intersect. So how am I supposed to show whether it is, like a short form? Instead of 74 million, I want like 74.6, 75.01, 75.08, for example. So what I need to do is I need to select the y-axis or also known as vertical axis. Why I select this? Because I want to make this as a short form. I don't want long name. Maybe I want like 75.3, 75.1, 75.5. So I right click and I select format axis. So my dear friends, can you see here format axis? If you can see format axis, can you type number 8 in the chat box? So you might be wondering why format axis? Because we want to format the data label. So click format axis and then over here the format axis pane will appear. So display units, I want you to select millions. So when you select millions, now you notice now it is in a short form, not in a full form. So if just say initially you put as none, none means it will be like this, very messy and intersects. So now when you just put millions, it looks now better. So now I'm going to do what? I'm going to cut this and I want to put it over here. Okay, so now this is the chart. And then I want to click here, pivot chart analyze, insert slicer. Okay, so now insert slicer, I want the entity name and I want the entity type. Okay, so now I have this data. So now we do have the slicer. So just say I click here head office. So it will change. When I click here subsidiary, it will change. And when I clear filter, now you'll see it's better. Okay, so now the one I'll just do it later because my focus, my data is still messy. That means I haven't prepared beautifully. Okay, so now we do have this data over here. What is the next step? Okay, so since here we have this one that shows the performance. So I'm going to write here down, show the performance from FY 2017 to FY 2024. So the manager can see, okay, whether it's increase or decrease and so on. What's next? Here, I want to show in a table format. So what I'm going to do is, I'm going to write here 1 million. Okay, 1 million. Okay, let me just change this. Okay, one more zero. Okay, so this is 1 million. What I'll do next is, I'm going to put here equal to 2017 over here. And I want to rename it and Rostoffi spells millions. Okay, later I'll show you why I'm doing this. Okay, so this is how it looks. So this one here, I'll drag to the right. This one side I want to close so that everyone can see what I'm doing. Control R. Okay, so this one not need. Okay, so now we have 2017, 2018, 2019. I'll try to make it at the center. Okay, this one also, I will link to this depreciation over here. Okay, and then I will drag downwards. Okay, and one more down. Okay, so now we have this data and these numbers, because if you notice here, I put here 1 million. So I want to show the answer in the form of millions. So I'll select this data over here, which is I7 divided by this 1 million over here. I log this and then after that, I drag down and I drag to the right. Okay, so now this is the data. Then after that, I do auto sum. Okay, so this is the data and there you go. Okay, so now we do have this data over here. So you may ask me what I'm going to do this. Well, let me show you the magic. So the first thing is, can you see here got camera? If you can see camera over here, can you type number 9 in the chat box? Can you see camera? Okay, so camera is like a CCTV. Like how you see some houses, they have CCTV, which capture all the footage. The same thing, the camera in Microsoft Excel, it captures all what the pictures that you took. Okay, that means what you can do is how to enable camera. It's very simple. You can just go to file and you can go to options. Once you go to option, you will notice a box will appear. So what's the next step? Once you go there, then after that, you go to quick access toolbar. So under quick access toolbar, you see for all commands. You click all commands and then you scroll down because the thing is when all commands, you have so many features. You need to see in an alphabetical order. The thing that we want to find is camera. So camera means it begins with alphabet C. So we go and then we find camera. C-A-M-E-R-A. Camera. So over here, you will notice that this is camera. Wait, let me just show you. Okay, so over here, can you all see your camera? If you all can see camera, can you type number 1 in the chat box? Okay, so this camera, what it does is, it will capture the picture. You just have to copy and then it will capture. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to press OK. So now we have the camera over here. So first thing is I press Control A so that it highlights the table and then I select the camera. Once I select the camera, it will try to copy the image. And then what I need to do is I need to drag down over here. So once I drag down over here, now you can see that this is the information. So I can just adjust the size accordingly. And the beauty is I can do some editing. So for example, over here, I just change this color. So I highlight all this. I change this color to just say blue color. And I just change to just say white color over here. You will notice that it will reflect accordingly. So the camera is like a CCTV footage. What you do is anything you changes. For example, you change here to a different color. When you change to a different color, here you change to yellow color. Over here also it will capture. So it will copy the image and any real time you edit the data or change the numbers, it will reflect accordingly. Okay, so now we do have this. What I want to do next is I want to create a title. So what I'll do is I'll go to this particular cell and then Control Shift up, Control Shift left so that it will highlight the particular range. And I put merge and center. So I'm going to press merge and center. So now we have this data over here. Okay, so let me just adjust accordingly. Okay, so what I want to do is basically I want to make an interactive title. Interactive title means, okay, let me just go here. I'm going to copy this and paste it over here. So I'm going to put here equal if, okay, let me write equal if all is equals to all. So if just say all is equals to all, then I put a company name, just say like Bursa Malaysia. Otherwise, it should actually follow the B2. Okay. So for example, over here, what happened is if just say I put here equal link to this data over here. So if just say I click here Bursa Malaysia, you will notice it will change. I click here, it will change. And if just say I clear filter, it changes accordingly. So what I want to do is I want to show the expenses performance. So I put here apostrophe expenses performance of, okay, so this one, and I'll try to make it bigger, just say 34, and then maybe smaller a bit, and then after that, middle align, bold. So if just say I click here Bursa Malaysia, so it changes accordingly. Business analytics, it changes accordingly. And if just say I put here corporate strategy, it changes accordingly. But if just say the boss wants to know about head office and subsidiary, so what I'll do is I'll do the same thing. I'll put here equal if all is equals to all, the name is Bursa Malaysia. Otherwise, the name should be referring to B3. Okay, this one, I'll just change this. Instead of Bursa Malaysia, I change this and I will try to link to this data over here. Okay, so now what happened is, if just say I click here Chief Executive Office, when I click this, you will notice the title change to Chief Executive Office. When I click here Derivative Market, it changes accordingly. But when I clear filter, it becomes Head Office. Okay, can you all see the magic over here? So if just say I click here Head Office, it becomes Head Office. When I click Subsidiaries, it becomes Subsidiaries. When I click Bursa Malaysia, it becomes Bursa Malaysia. When I clear filter, it becomes subsidiaries. When I click head office, it changes accordingly. When I clear filter over here, then only it looks better. All right, so now we do have this data, but of course, this number never changed. What we can do is right click, report connections, and I tick this. and then select this, right click, report connection, and I select this pivot table too. Okay, so now if you notice when I click head office, it changes and it changes dynamically. All right. So wait, let me just make some adjustments. So I'm going to select this, right click, pivot table option. So it doesn't auto fit when update. So that means it remains constant. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to upkeep so that our chart looks more beautiful, more presentable. Let me just close this. Okay, wait, let me just make it bigger. So now this is our chart. Okay. And this one also, let me adjust the size accordingly. Okay, so it's becoming bigger. Wait, never mind. I'll just put it here. Okay, and this one also, let me just change. This one, I'll put here slicer, 2 columns. So we have 2 columns means looks better. So I'll just put it over here. Okay, so now we have this data. Let me just change this accordingly. And this one, let me just put this over here. And there you go. Okay, so now it looks a bit better compared to just now. And let me just, all right, so there you go. This is the data. And this one, so I just accordingly. All right. Then after that, I remove the grid lines. Okay, I remove the grid lines over here. And let me just do one more time so that everyone can see clearly. Okay, wait, let me just put this. Okay, so I just put alternate WVG. So you remove the grid line. This one I put here as 100. Okay, so now this is the data. So let me just do some upkeeping first. Okay, so this one is over here. Okay, so this is our report. This one I want to change accordingly. So I'll just put here as a blue color and white color. Okay, so this is bold. This one I want to change the color to actually blue color. This one also I'll change to dark blue. Okay, this chart over here, I just change this to a different color. Okay, and this one also I want to remove the grid line. So I go to view and I remove the grid line, just like that. So now you have the report. So if just say I clear filter over here, now you'll see it is expense performance of group corporate legal. But when I clear this, you will notice it's expense performance of Bursa Malaysia. When I put here head office, it changes. When just say I put here subsidiary, it changes. So now what's the purpose is here, it will show you the performance from 2017 to 2024. And over here, it will show you the breakdown. Like you see here, this is 19.46 million. Okay, so it will show you. Wait, let me just do one more time. Format axis. And of course, here we have, okay, so show display units. Okay, this one, let me just change. All right, so now it looks better. Okay, so here you have here millions, here you have this data, and there you go. So what actually we learn from here is we are actually preparing an Excel dashboard based on the given data. So now this is our original data where we have all the entity names and also the grouping. What we do is in pivot table, we will do all the summary. So let me just change this accordingly. So I will change this to pivot table, and this one I'll change to a dashboard. Okay, so this is our data. So if just say I click here corporate strategy, it will show me the performance of corporate strategy. If I clear filter, it will show me the performance of Bursa Malaysia. When I click this, it will show me head office. When I click this, it show me subsidiaries. So basically what we can learn from here is we can actually prepare a dynamic presentation or an interactive dashboard in our Excel file. We can actually show this, and then at the end, the stakeholders or the managers, they can understand what is the trend, what is the breakdown, and so on. Okay, so yeah, so I think I've done my part. So now we'll proceed to the next part, which is the Q&A session. So if just say you have any questions that you want to ask, especially if just now you want to know that how I use this formula, you can ask me. I can actually repeat to you. I can tell you how it works. So I've already showed you how we use a data and integrate it to Power Query to do data transformation, use pivot table to prepare some visual, and eventually we have a camera, pivot chart, and slicer where we can make an interactive presentation. Meaning to say, if I click here Chief Executive Officer, you will notice that here we have Chief Executive Officer. If just say I clear filter, you will notice it becomes entire Bursa Malaysia. When I click subsidiaries, it changes accordingly. So my friends, if you have any questions, you can ask. If you have no questions, then I'll pass the floor to Akriti or Premsai. So, friends, any questions?
Aishwarya, Mohit.
Okay, so actually at my office, I receive monthly data which consists okay, I mean 6 lakhs record and my Excel file hangs. How to handle this? Because you know why? Because 6 lakhs means a lot of data, meaning to say, that means there's a lot of information. So it makes sense that the file hangs. Maybe you can actually try to load your data as a connection. Maybe like how to say Aishwarya? Okay,
Hang on a
okay,
second.
someone can mute.
Shraddha, can you mute, please? I'll look into it just.
Okay, thank you, Prem. Okay, now Aishwarya, to answer your question, okay, maybe what you can do, Aishwarya, okay, your file, of course, by the time you open, it will take hand because I experienced that in a lot of things. You can go to get data. Okay, so for example, over here, let me just do a new magic. So I go to data, get data from file, Excel workbook. Okay, so Excel workbook, and then depends where you save the file. Okay, so Aishwarya, are you with me? Can you see your data, get data from file, Excel workbook? Can you see, Aishwarya? You can type yes if you can see. Can you see this? So you go to data, get data from file Excel workbook. And then after that, okay, now because I understand your one has 6 lakhs of rows, I mean 6 lakhs of records. So by the time you open, it will take time. So now to make you understand, what I'll do is, okay, just say I want to open this particular file. Okay, so I open this particular file. And what happened is, wait, it will take some time to load because so many data. Okay, so I'll just put here data. So here you'll see there'll be a lot of data over here. So I go to transform. So once I go to transform, it will go to Power Query Editor. So once it goes to Power Query Editor, what you need to do is, okay, let me just let me unpivot the column. Okay, so this one over here, wait, let me just select this until here, right click and unpivot other columns. So if you notice, Aishwarya, there will be lot of rows. Okay, in this case will be lot of rows. So you can use Power Query to actually import the data. And then since your manager told you to build a dashboard in Excel, what you can do is you can go to close and load to, you can actually load as a pivot table. Pivot table means, like for example, you click pivot table, it will load as a pivot table. But if just say you don't want to incur space, you can also create connection. So when you create connection only, you will notice it will pop up over here. Can you see this, Aishwarya? It will pop out as a connection. So that means your data will not, you don't have to open the original source. You can see the source from here itself. Did I answer your question, Aishwarya? But since your manager wants it to be in pivot table, you can actually right click this, load to pivot table. So it will be in pivot table. Did I answer your question, Aishwarya? Okay, but the thing is, what if just say your file change? Okay, if just say your file change means, because every month got different file, depends on work. So if just say your file change, right click, and then you go to the edit. Okay, over here we have data source. So you click the data source over here, and then here this is the data. So if you want to change source, you can change source. So if just say you have January report, you want to change to February. So you go to browse, and then you change the file. Okay, like January to February, February to March. So you don't have to open the original source because I understand 6 lakh records will take a lot of time. It will be more than 10 megabyte, the size of the file. Yeah. Okay, so anyone else? Any question?
Hello, sir. Abhishek this side.
Ah, yeah. Hi, Abhishek.
Yeah. Sir, can you just
Can I
repeat that
just?
step regarding this one? Header name changes according to the table.
Oh, you mean this one here?
Yeah. So header name changes according to table. Just now, in the previous time, you used to showcase.
You
The
mean,
header. Yeah, this one. This one.
okay, this one. That means it changes, right? You want to know how I do it,
Yes.
right? Okay.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
So, okay, I'll show you. You see here, what I do is maybe I need to remove all this so that you can understand. Okay, so this one, make sure it is all because when you clear filter, you see here Abhishek and also friends. Can you all see here that your filter shows all? Can you all see this?
Yes.
Okay, so now what you need to do is make sure it is all. So you make sure you copy this and then paste at the side. And then what you do is you use if formula. Equal if. You see, if formula, you have three argument. Logic test, value if true, value if false. So if all is equals to all, then you can put maybe Tata Reliance, or maybe you can put Bharat Petroleum, or you can put ABC company. So this company name is Bursa Malaysia. So you put here Bursa Malaysia. Otherwise, if just say it is when you press the slicer, it will show a different name. So I'll go back to here. Meaning to say, Abhishek, what happened is, just say I put here equal and select here. So now if I click here subsidiaries, it changes. I click here head office, it changes. Can you see this?
Yes, sir. Yes. What?
Okay. Now the next thing is, I also have like a department and subsidiaries. So I'm going to use the same thing. Equal if all is equivalent to all. When all is equivalent to all, what I do is I will link back here, head office. Okay, link back here. Then after that, I put here comma, follow to this P2. Okay, so what I'll do next is I'll go back here. This one I change. Instead of E3, I link back to this data over here. So now you see, you choose head office. When you click subsidiaries, it becomes subsidiaries. When you click Bursa Malaysia bond, it becomes Bursa Malaysia bond. When just say you click here clear, it becomes subsidiaries. When you click head office, it becomes head office. When I just say I click internal audit, it becomes internal audit. But I want to put the name. So I put here equal Rostoffi. You can put expense performance of Rostoffi, and or if you want to make a better English, okay, and then you put here and from FY 2017 to FY 2024. Okay, and then you press enter. So expenses performance of internal audit from 2017 to 2024. When you clear, it becomes like this. When you click this, it becomes like this. So just have a look here, Abhishek, just have a look on this data, on this function. Okay, so next there's a question from Aishwarya. How to load folder in Power Query? I have monthly data in my folder. I want to create the dashboard and so on. Okay, I'll answer your question in a while, Aishwarya. But before that, Abhishek, did I answer your question?
Yes, sir. Yes, I'm pretty clear with it. Sir, I have
Okay.
a similar
So, but
question
if just
regarding
say,
the Aishwarya just mentioned.
mm-hmm,
Yes. So, sir, just a query is regarding I'm currently working on a data set in which
uh-huh.
I'm working in a client's requirement is basically they want a Jan, Feb, March, and till April data in a single file. So
Okay.
I read your question and it's very insightful and which you clearly mentioned. It is achievable through the concept called as Power Query.
Yeah, Power Query. So I'll answer
Yeah,
Aishwarya's question.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
so the thing is, though, sir, the challenging thing is basically a client has a file Jan, Feb, March, and April, but the challenging thing is there is no date and month column in any of the file. So how to tackle with this scenario?
I see. Okay. Okay. That's if you have the file name, then it will be great. Because okay. But is the file name is January, February, March, or how?
Yeah, so the file name is only tracker, tracker one, tracker two, tracker three, tracker four. That's it.
Okay. Then you can use that. Yeah. All right. Okay. Even Aishwarya has the same issue. Okay. I'll show you all. Okay. This is the step actually to answer Aishwarya's question. Maybe I will use this data, this particular file as our report. Wait, let me see. What day I'm going to teach? I'm going to teach on 13 May. So 13 May. Okay, so this one, I'm going to use this report over here. Okay, so I'll answer Aishwarya's question and also Abhishek question. So first thing is, if you want to import from folder, you click data. Okay, let me zoom this so that everybody can understand. Click data, then get data. Then after that, from file, from folder. Then after that, you select the folder. Sorry, you select the folder. And then once you select the folder already, what you need to do is you need to combine and load to. Okay, because in Excel will be combine and load to. It depends. You want to load as a pivot table or what? Then you select the sheet. Okay, and then after that, once you select the sheet already, then you choose maybe pivot table or table or what, depending on you. So let's do it together. So you go to data, get data from file folder, get data from file folder over here. Okay, then after that, this box will appear. Okay, I'll answer Abhishek question in a while. So go to desktop, 13 May. I select this. I select case study 2. So this is my folder. Select this, you click one time and then you press enter. Once you press, okay, wait, let me just go here and select okay, open. So once I press open, then you'll notice that a box will appear. So what I told you all is combine and load to. So here we have the word called combine. So click combine and click combine and load to. Click here, you will notice a box will appear. Then after that, what you need to do is you need to select the sheet. Okay, so once you select the sheet, okay, the thing will take some time. Okay, so select the claim sheet and then you press OK. Once you press OK, then you can choose to load as pivot table. Okay, so it will take some time. Then I will choose to load as a pivot table. So you'll notice a box will appear and then you choose pivot table, you press OK. So once you press OK, so now what I'll do is I'll try to load the data. So just say I click here claim date and I click the amount. So now we have this information, but I want to know in a monthly basis. So right click, group, and I choose here months. Okay, so now you have here monthly. So what I'll do is, if just say I put all the files into the claims folder, and then when I right click, I refresh, now you will notice that it will become January to August. So Aishwarya, did I show you the method? Okay, so basically you can create a dashboard. When you put the file into the folder, it will changes accordingly. So Aishwarya, did I answer your question? You can say yes or you can say no. Okay, now Abhishek question. Abhishek question is, they never show January, February, March. So in this case, what you need to do is, so just say I just right click and edit. Okay, so what happened is to answer Abhishek question, if you notice over here, can you see here Abhishek, the source name?
Yes.
January. So if just say your source name is January, February, March, that will be great. So then you can actually put it into the pivot table or you can put it as a data as well. Did I answer your question, Abhishek?
Yes, yes, sir. Yes.
So I think you need, because I understand sometimes the database will not have a dedicated column. So you can actually put a column here, source name. I mean, of course, the source will be like what you say, T1, T2. So maybe you can actually change. That means if just say T1 means January, T2 means February, then after that, yeah, then you can actually load as a monthly format.
Yes, sir. I agree with that. Yeah, will do.
Okay. All right. And then to just let you know, because maybe I just now I teach the E formula you don't understand. What I'll do is I'll go to YouTube. Wait, let me just go to my YouTube. Okay. So for example, over here, to answer your question on how I make the interactive header. So the interactive header is over here. Wait, let me just go here. Dashboard. Where is the dashboard? Microsoft Excel. No, not this one. I think yes, okay. Yes. So over here, it's actually a simple dashboard. If you notice here, I think 2 minutes. Wait, let me go back. Excel Power Query. There you go. So now if you notice here, okay, so this one is 2 minutes, 10 seconds. So Abhishek, just now you have a question, how I can make the header. I use if function, if formula, where if all is equals to all, then it returns like just say ABC company or Coca-Cola Incorporation. Otherwise, it will ring back to the slicer selection. So over here, you can actually have a look on how I use the if function if you don't understand. Okay, so this one also it's one dedicated playlist where you can actually learn on how you can prepare the dashboard. Okay, so if you have any questions, you can ask. No questions, maybe Akriti or Prem Sai, over to you.
Yeah. Are there any questions from the audience? Okay. I guess we can conclude the session. And thank you all for attending this session. And tomorrow we'll be having another session delivered by Ellen regarding the Power BI. So please do attend it live. And if you have any doubts, if you want to go through any of the sessions conducted by COE, you can always check out the YouTube channel and we have shared the link. Yeah. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, everyone, for attending this session.
All right.
We'll meet tomorrow. Yeah. Thank you.